is, everybody's questioning Adrian Peterson returning. Well, how do I say this the right way? Everybody has a question on whether Adrian Peterson is returning too quickly or if he is just, as I put on Twitter, a different kind of animal, a different kind of human being. Adrian Peterson, the freak of nature, if Calvin Johnson is Megatron, then I will call Adrian Peterson Optimus Prime, Bumblebee. I don't care. He is badass, and there's no other way to say it. A lot of people thought that AP himself would take a little more, at least miss the first week or two of the regular season before coming back from his torn ACL. But instead, AP is already in practice and set and, according to him, ready to start week 1. Now, that's unbelievable, but at the same time, in my opinion, if there is any man in the NFL that you would not be surprised could do this, it would be Adrian Peterson. Pixel Junkie, I agree with you. He should come back at 100%. But to be completely honest with you, I can't fathom that he doesn't think he is 100%. I really think Adrian Peterson is A-okay and ready to play. I really do. I believe it. I don't think they're going to play him in a preseason game. I think it's going to strictly be practice. If they play him in any preseason game, I think they'll wait to the third one and just give him a couple carries just to get hit and make sure he feels all right. But he's, they apparently yesterday at practice, Leslie Frazier, the head coach of the Vikings, put on some game film of Adrian Peterson from last season. And he looked at AP and said to him, hey, do you think you can do this for me before the season starts? And he was showing AP some of his cuts and his back, juke moves and all the different crazy things Adrian Peterson can do. And Adrian Peterson responded to him by saying, Coach, I could do that for you right now. In my opinion, I believe him. I really do. I understand what all you guys are saying. Jerry Rice, said he made the same mistake of coming back too soon for the same operation. And it sort of killed his career. But at the same time, Jerry Rice did this 15 years ago. Surgery is different than it was 15 years ago. Adrian Peterson and Jerry Rice are not the same built human being. No disrespect to Jerry Rice, but I think Adrian Peterson himself is a different man than many people have ever seen in the game of football. Now, I do understand what you guys are saying. It's a big risk. He is risk. Liz mentions the fact that players are going to know that knee is messed up, and players will aim at it. Not saying that they're going to be trying to hurt him and this is bounty gate, and that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, Liz is right. Players are not idiots. They know your weak spots. They know if you got a bruised rib and you're a wide receiver and you're coming across the middle, they can hit you in the rib, and most likely you're going to drop the ball because your rib is bruised and it's going to hurt like hell. I really, really do think, though, Adrian Peterson is serious about this. Chris, that's an interesting point. Serious injuries should be mandatory to sit out for a season. I get why you say that, but you know as well as I know, these players' shelf life is not long. And all of a sudden, all you need is the Minnesota Vikings to find a freakish running back at $600K a year instead of $10 million a year, and they tell him, you know what, you're cut. We don't need you anymore. You got your guaranteed money. Have a great day. Go find another job. Football is not that type of, look, but this takes back to the Tommy John surgery in Strasburg. It's got to be treated the same way. See, I disagree. A ace pitcher like Strasburg is very, very hard to find. Very hard to find. A running back in the NFL is a dime a dozen. Now, don't get me wrong. Adrian Peterson is one of those unique running backs, and I agree with that. But you can find a running back to give you 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns in almost every NFL draft there ever is. In at least 10% of the free agents that are out there. All you need is a respectable offensive line and running backs are a dime a dozen. Ace pitchers in baseball, hard as hell to find. All right? And that's why I say, Pixel, I can't really make that or agree with that comparison. And the fact that, Tommy John surgery in Strasburg, you're worried about his arm getting re-injured. I understand that. But that is because if Strasburg can stay healthy, you have an ace for your roster for 10, 12, minimum 7 more years. If you look at the NFL running backs, AP's got maybe, at best, one more chance to get another good contract. That contract probably won't be longer than 3 years. At best, Adrian Peterson as a whole will play a little bit more than half the amount of time in football that Strasburg will play in baseball. If it's me, Pixel, and you're, and Louis Primo, you're in my chat room, buddy. You're the Minnesota Viking fan. I believe if anybody should answer this question, it should be you. And Pixel Junkie asked, would you start him or take the risk? Would you have him come back next season and give you a full season? And I know you're talking about AP, Pixel, but Primo, I would love to hear your response to that question because you're my Viking fan. So would you rather your team have AP take the year off and come back 100% healthy next year? Or would you rather him get out there and play? Friend, I do agree they will try to protect it, so they will be at a disadvantage. They will play slightly conservative with him. Don't be surprised if you see the backup Gearhart get more carries. But in my opinion, Pixel, I play him. I take the risk. I know what you're saying, but like I said, I truly believe if I lose Adrian Peterson, will I ever replace Adrian Peterson? The odds are against me that is a resounding no. But do I believe I can find somebody to give me 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns? Yes. And that is why you take the risk. That is why Adrian Peterson is willing to take the risk. He understands that they can find somebody to do his job. Chris mentions, what about using AP as a backup if they decide to use him? Now, that's not a bad idea either. You put him on a quote-unquote snap count. Ooh, we're getting a phone call for this conversation. I love it. All right, you're on the line with Sports Zone. Who's this?
Hey, it's Primo, dude.
Primo, what's happening, pal? Perfect. I'm so happy you called in.
What's up? Yeah, I just saw your thing. I was on the computer. I saw you asked me the question, but I was like, instead of typing, I'll just call. It's a lot easier.
I appreciate it. I feel like the more phone calls I get, the more motivated others will be willing to call in. I think some people are a little nervous to call in.
Guys, man. Well, you're by yourself now, right?
Yeah, I've been. This is week number 2 by myself, and to be honest with you, I mean, I miss Joey to death. I miss that, back and forth, and more than anything else, I miss the dancing. But to be honest with you, I feel like the show is going well. It seems like everybody else is pretty much with me on the show going well too. But the question is, do you start Adrian Peterson, or would you rather, especially as a Viking fan, would you rather him take the year off or, miss half the season and come back 100% healthy?
If I'm Ziggy Wolf, I go to him and I sit him down in a meeting and I say, listen, I ask him how he thinks he feels. But right before week 1, I sit him down. How does he feel? Does it feel 100%? Do you feel like you can go 100%? If you can, and you want to try week 1, we'll let you play. We'll start you off with a couple reps, and see how you handle yourself. If you feel like you're not going to be able to do, you go 2 or 3 and you get popped, you feel like the knee's hurting, we'll take you out. We'll sit you another week or 2. We'll go from there. Because you can't really, as an owner, you can, I don't know if you can demand, you can say to a player that he has to sit, or if the player's like, I'm getting paid to play, I want to play. But in the long run, yes, he is, like you said, he's one of the craziest running backs. He loves to just pound any linebacker or lineman. He loves to give you that hit. He refuses to go out of bounds, as we all seen him play. He loves to take the shot and bounce off and run for 60 yards. But the only thing is, obviously, the only thing that would worry me as an owner is if he signed for the next, his contract, I believe, was 5 or 6 years he got, and or maybe even more. I know he got a pretty hefty contract, just signed with Minnesota last year before the knee injury.
Yeah.
But in the long run, I want him to be there for his amount of his contract, because right now he's all we have in Minnesota right now. That's it. Without Adrian Peterson, we really have nothing to go on. I mean, our quarterback, we're still doing, we're still learning with Christian Ponders. It's going to be his first full year starting by himself.
I do think he's going to play for.
There's really no one else.
I do think Ponder's going to play okay for you guys. Now, do I think he's leading you to the playoffs? No, but I do think as a Vikings fan, when this season is all said and done, you're going to look back and be like, okay, we can build with this guy. I really do think that. I like Ponder. I actually like – the funny thing is I actually like Ponder and Jake Locker a lot. And they were the two later guys drafted out of the quarterbacks in the draft that they came out of. A lot of people, Chris actually likes your idea. Pixel's saying, the same idea. Talk to the doctors, see what they say. And Pixel makes one hell of a good point too. AP will always say he's ready to go. He's a warrior.
Like anybody else, they want to play. You're getting paid to play. You want to be out there. Understandable. Yeah. That's why the doctors are there too. I mean, if they say they think he can do it, then I say give him the shot. Let him do it. If you say if he gets hit like 2 or 3 times after 2 series, and he says, you know what, then he's starting to bother me, and then we don't know AP. He may say it doesn't hurt him, and it does because he wants to just keep playing. But he has to be smart too, from his in his own mind. Like, am I going to say, I'm going to put myself through 6 games, and maybe sprain it, the same knee, and get hurt and be out for it. And now that you've already come off surgery 9 months later, which is a hell of a remarkable of a recovery, 9 months after surgery, and this guy's ready to go.
It's unbelievable.
It's incredible. I mean, this guy's still young, so he still has his healing time is still faster than, obviously, the more you get older, the longer it takes to heal. I mean, this guy, it's just remarkable recovery. I mean, you saw videos of him in the pool running. I mean, running with the brace on, getting the ball thrown at him, like doing cuts. Like, do you think this guy could never do these cuts with it, the way he's doing with the surgery he had? I mean, it's incredible. So I'm actually I'm dying to see him run and make a cut and go see if he still has that 4.4 speed that he has. I mean, I'm dying to see if he can still do it. I hope he can as a Viking fan. I mean, I look forward to seeing him run over people and run for like 60 yards.
You know what? Me and you the same on that one. Fantasy owners out there that, the funny thing is, he's going to drop far in fantasy drafts. And whoever manages to get AP towards the playoff run, towards the end of your fantasy season, you're going to be looking at everybody like, I told you he was worth a draft pick. I'm telling you, he is going to get people. Now, I actually like what you're saying. I sort of like the snap count idea. I think it, almost like a pitch count for a pitcher coming back off of the DL. Yeah. I do like that idea. Say you're going to run the ball 30 times in a game, you give him 12, give Gearhart 18, something like that.
Yeah, you see how the knee handles the pressure of running and placing on it and turning and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly, and not to mention that's why I said I don't think they're going to play him in the second preseason game. I think they'll wait till the third, and probably in the third they'll probably literally give him like 2 carries just to get hit and say, all right, now we want you to relax. The only thing I'm curious to know, Primo, and this is the last thing I'm going to ask you, because believe it or not, I thought this topic was going to last for like 3-4 minutes, and we've been going for 15. So, but the last question I want to ask you: if you had to make a decision, and it's AP, you start now, or we do not play you until, let's say, week 8, and that's your only options. No run count. No, nothing. It is AP. You are a full-time starting running back in week 1, or you have to wait till week 8 to get fully healthy. Which one would you personally choose as a fan of the team? Not an owner, not a coach, as a fan.
Week 1, exactly. Week 1.
Week 1, right? Because you want to see your team, and you want to see AP out there and hope. You're going to just hope for the best.
Exactly right. I mean, what else can you do at that point? I mean, that's really it. I mean, that's why you have these doctors, and do they do their job? If they do the job correctly, and his muscles and everything heals the way it's supposed to, then he should be able to run on it. Will he be as effective as he was before this injury? That's another question. We'll wait and see. But I mean, hopefully the exploding speed doesn't really. He still has that speed, which it looks like he does. But one final thing I want to add to you: like, where do you think he goes in the draft? Do you think he goes late first round or early second round?
I got him early second round.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
I think it'll be based on how many people are in your league. If you got a 10-person league, early second. If you got a 12-person league, you might get them at the late first.